and welcome back to another episode of Pros and Cons with akaBoG, that's me, and the Captain 1701, who this week is coming to us from
the wreckage of Star Trek franchise, as we know it.
just the sheer wreckage and dumpster fire that exists. So, maybe you guys know what we thought of this episode already. We're going to try and keep this one short and sweet. We don't have a whole lot to say.
There's no stars. The only trek is of a Homeland Security bus going down an abandoned highway in California. That's about it.
Dude.
That's about it of the trekking and the stars.
Yeah.
There's no stars.
They try to fake us out. The first opening section of the episode is somebody, a boring old 21st century astronaut in a boring old 21st century spacecraft.
Oh, cool, we're going to space.
And I think my exact comment to you was, they showed that to us just so they could say that there was space in this episode.
It was a training exercise.
I say, like, yeah, whatever, the next reveal, like, they're sitting there and it blows up and you were like, oh my god, it's not even real space.
It reminded me of Apollo 13 when Gary Sinise is trying to figure out all the scenarios for getting Apollo 13 back to Earth and he keeps failing.
Dude.
Fuck.
We had a little Ocean's 11 segue in there. That was terrible.
We had in season 1, remember?
Yeah.
When they go to, like, Picard gets all like French pimp gangster.
I forgot that happened.
Remember
Thanks.
that?
No.
So we had this. They're just recycling another Ocean's 11.
I forgot about that. At least, oh man. All right. So the whole thing. All right. I was actually kind of interested and curious to see what was going on with ICE and where these ICE agents were disappearing people to.
That's all they referred to in the last episode. Like, we're taking you back and you'll
time to disappear.
Never return.
Yeah, they disappear people. And then this episode, they just stun the bus with a magic tricorder EMP.
Right.
Okay, I guess it was an electric bus, whatever. Or it's a smart bus or something, whatever. I don't care. If it was a smart bus, I don't know why you have to show that weird pulse going out to show.
That wasn't a smart bus. It was just your standard old school gas bus.
All right. But then it's a good thing that, I remember we did see in last episode or the one before that Rafi had snuck a phaser pistol with her. And so you think that she might use that to stun or even vaporize one of the guards when she takes over the bus. But of course, we actually see her use the tricorder with a new setting, the stun setting, to knock out somebody.
Sure.
I've never seen a tricorder do that. It was a really terrible effect, too. They're like, wave.
Well, in that scene, I did like the double-handed Kirk chop.
Well, that's a good throwback. But I like Rios a little bit anyways,
Yeah, Rios is cool.
I still like Rios after everything today, even though he helped a whole bunch of questionable individuals escape justice. Or maybe he saved a bunch of heroic people from being disappeared. I don't know what he did.
I thought that was going to be like
a whole subplot for several episodes. I was waiting to see where they were. I wanted to know what was happening. No, they just saved Rios, and that's that.
Maybe they were.
I guess
maybe it's too spicy.
I'd say they're acting like proper time astronauts and just leaving it be. Hey, we don't know what they're doing over here. We're not even going to ask. They're just going back on their mission.
Do you think we'll go back to the bus at some point?
I think that we will see something down the road that ties back to the Rios' doctor lady friend. I feel like they didn't feature her for 2 episodes without having her cast in more episodes.
Maybe she'll come out, she'll come back to the
future?
Star Trek 4
no, I'm still thinking Rios might stay behind. I don't know.
He didn't have any moments in this episode. He got rescued, and then at the end,
he's just like, yeah, what's up? All right, high five, brother.
I think before we get to the shitty con stuff, there was a funny thing where Picard and the non-Laris Watcher, they go back to the ship, and they're just dragging this dead cop out of the ship, and
she's like, "This is your crew?
This is my crew. They are very
they're the best crew." Yes, and she's like, "These people dragging the dead police officer out the ship," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sure he's not dead."
I thought that was kind of funny. Where'd they take the cop? Because he's dead? Did they, like, bury him?
Well, no, she said that he wasn't dead. She had repaired all of his organs for the most part, except for his spleen, which is why was the Borg Queen trying to assimilate him? Was she just damaging his organs and poking at him with her Doctor Who,
Doc Ock tentacles?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like those. I like the Girardi assimilation a little bit better too. Even though that effect, I don't like the effect as much as I like the effect that was perfected during First Contact. Or not First Contact, I guess it was First Contact and Voyager. You know what I mean? The nanotubules and like everything. That was a very good assimilation effect. This, where she like just touched her and was like this glowy green and she like is a stealth Borg Queen. Okay, whatever. Okay, fine. I actually kind of did like when they cut back to her and like the Borg Queen's just kind of like hanging out with her.
Like her psyche now.
I kind of did like that. As weird and goofy as it is and kind of out of place for Star Trek, I did like that. I thought that was fine. So see, we have some pros. We weren't even sure if we were going to do this episode because we were kind of like, we were a little salty after watching. We had to cool down for a little bit and drink and.
Like, how many times?
We had to drink a little bit.
Do we have to see from?
We actually rewound several things to this episode, and we took like a little break afterwards to like just like complain and grump and.
Well, like how many meltdowns do we have to see from Raffi?
Dude, Raffi's like on the edge, and I feel like I don't like her as a crew member for my Star Trek show. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I don't like Raffi at all. She's losing it. She's out of control. She's making everything harder. She's not exactly helping anybody. I don't like her.
Seeing Elnor,
that was weird.
I still can't get over the fact that
they had to have a reason for Elnor to show up in this episode, though, because they did have to pay him as a regular cast member. Yeah, they're like, look, we don't really have anything for him, but they're like, damn it, bring his ass out here to film this shit.
Yeah, that whole thing is so ridiculous still because their entire relationship and mentorship was built in between seasons, not on screen. How are we supposed to actually feel for her when we never saw that relationship?
Right.
In real life.
At one point, I think you did say you'd rather be back in the future where, like, the ship just blew up and the Borg blew up and, like, Raffi and Elnor just, like, vaporized in the Flash, like, Q style, and everyone was like, oh, I guess they're dead.
State funeral for Picard. The Borg are destroyed. He goes out a hero.
Yeah, it's a shame he had to go and take out the flagship, but, you know.
That's what you get when you go.
Hey, it would have been a heroic for Picard. I would have liked that, you know.
Did you like Riders of the Apocalypse Q? I am death. Blah.
Death. How about Brent Spiner fully unleashed as a human finally? I thought we've done this like 3 other times previously. Like, didn't you know that Soon's ancestor was just like Soon and looked exactly like Soon?
How many 400 years of worth of Soons are like in the same field? What are the odds of that?
Dude, oh, he's a geneticist now, not a cyberneticist.
And they all look exactly the same.
And did we establish in the original like Picard series that Hoshi it was like built to look like original Soon's daughter, or is that just out of left field so that she can appear in this episode? Soji, yeah, sorry.
Like Soji? From Hoshi from
Star Trek Picard. Well, you know what? I don't know her name. I don't care. Sorry.
I thought you were making an Enterprise reference. Wow, I never heard of it. It's a spicy hot
getting too confusing here. No, I just don't know these characters enough to actually know any of their names. I'm sorry. I feel like, you know, it's like with Star Trek Discovery, they didn't do the bridge roll call scene until like halfway into the second season. They're like, oh, we just realized that we never named any of the other characters that you've been watching on this bridge ever.
And everyone's a fucking commander? How many commanders do you need on a ship?
I like it. I don't know. Captain and I both have our own ships, I'm just saying.
It's just like, I don't
have anything else to say, dude. New Trek is not Trek. We didn't, like you said, there was no space in this except a fake space out. It's all on Earth. I don't care. It's about a poor genetic freak that can't live in like an oxygen environment. And like Q, even though he doesn't have his power, he still has a miracle cure.
When he's still like, he can still just do whatever he wants.
It doesn't even, dude. I kind of feel like why you're having a problem with stories because there's no story to follow. It's just.
Well, you mentioned it was all just like this.
The J.J. Abrams school of MacGuffin.
Yeah, but the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
What was this week's MacGuffin?
Then that's the problem. This week's MacGuffin was not even a clear MacGuffin because their last week was we have to find the Watcher, and they found the Watcher, and it's Laris. So this week's was
But
what's
she's
Laris
not
doing
Laris
here?
anymore.
And so it was like this really expositional thing with her and Picard, where she was adversarial and then not adversarial, and then like. Just like, okay, let's like get into Ocean's 11 planning, and like the Rios thing was just really wrapped up, and it felt like that was even, I don't even know, dude. This episode didn't feel very good at all. It was one of the shorter episodes of the season, which usually, even by one of the longer ones, we're like, man, I can't believe the end of the episode there. That's not the feeling I got from this one. This one made me feel like it's not over yet.
Do you think we'll even see the Bell riots?
No. I think that they don't even know that the Bell riots are happening at this time period.
I agree. Because
they would have referenced them already, right?
They had to.
It would have been the whole thing because that was the whole thing going on in this time period, at least. But
and that was like a major plot point of Deep Space
Nine.
No,
I honestly don't think that we're going to hear any references to the Bell riots. I think that they would be like, "What's a Bell riot?"
Because they haven't even hinted at anything like that.
You would think that they would have been like, oh man, did you hear what was happening in California? It's pretty crazy. Even just like a weird drop. It's the same time frame. And the whole thing like, well, they weren't there to go back in time and do this and blah, 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 blah. You know, that's why Guinan doesn't remember them. You know, right? So we heard the explanation from somewhere that the reason that Guinan didn't recognize Picard is because this timeline was changed so that Picard never went back to 1893 to meet Guinan, so that this Guinan never actually met him. Still doesn't explain why she's a total douche, why she's so, you know, but whatever. Fine, I'll take it, you know what I mean? But it's just like, this episode and it was lacking from a clear MacGuffin, and they got us to the end, and it was, I guess the MacGuffin this episode was what does Q want? I guess is the closest thing we could say, right?
So we've been saying the whole fucking time.
But we don't even know it. Explain to me why we give a shit because why is Q flashing them to an alternate future to see how bad it is and then sending him back to the past to fix it? But when he's in the past where he sent them to fix it, he's trying to destroy it and meddle with it. You always laugh at me and say I'm wrong. I think it's mere Q. Do I have a mere Q going on? And you're like, dude, that doesn't make sense. Q's like omnidimensional, and there is only one Q, and there's not multiple versions of... Dude, the writers don't understand any of that shit. Are you joking me? They fucking write...
Yeah.
They write sonar in space over and over and over again after people tell them that is the dumbest thing that they've ever heard of. Alright? Maybe it's a mere Q. I don't know. Did Q send him back to stop evil? I don't know what's happening, Tom. It's just garbage. I think when you came in and I said, what do you want for your ship? And we were trying to figure out, and you said, what haven't I used? And I was like, any of the Enterprises except the A, but none of that felt appropriate. And then you were talking about just going blank. You don't want anything behind it. But dude, you picked the exact right, perfect image, dude. It's a fucking dumpster fire. It's garbage.
It's not even entertaining.
It's not entertaining, dude. Alright, so real quick, I want to say, like, when Girardi shot the Borg Queen, you know, I thought, and we came back, I was like, kind of actually like, oh, Girardi did what was right. I was expecting her to like let the Queen assimilate her. I'm really kind of impressed that she shot the Queen, and I feel like we should have like figured it out because when they were doing the Ocean's 11 thing, Girardi was like way too cool.
She was way different.
She was playing it like way cool, and when we rewatched the scene, because we had to rewatch it, because what was it when Rios was like flabbergasted that they were gonna send in the roboticist instead of the ex-spy Rafi. or the Ranger 7 and 9, and we were like, did he just say Rafi's an ex-spy? And we had to go back and watch it. And the second time, you're like, he didn't even say that. And we had to put the damn subtitles on.
Yeah.
And apparently, I don't know. I'm sure they mentioned it. Dude, I'm sure they mentioned it. You rewatched Picard season 1. Did they talk about that at all?
She was like a Starfleet.
I thought she was Starfleet, dude.
With Picard, and then like his mission or whatever, and then she went off into like exile.
It was probably some like part of her emo sad story about why she's all sad is that she had to be an evil Starfleet spy. Or some dumb shit.
We'll probably learn about it.
I don't really care. If anybody actually knows, please tell us because I feel woefully misinformed here. But then again, it is new Trek. And I had to thank you for coming down to an episode. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? I don't. I want to wrap it up. I'm done.
Saying maybe next week would be better. But
I honestly, I would watch just about any other Trek than this. And I honestly just want to do a little shuffle Trek and get a good classic episode to like purge this, you know.
We have 4 more. We can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to see all the MacGuffins answered.
I just want to know what's up with Q, man. I don't even care. I just want to know because it's dumb. I already know, dude. Alright, here's a prediction for the rest of the series. It's going to be dumb and stupid and dumb and dumb and stupid. I'm sorry. I actually liked the first couple episodes. I thought it started out pretty good.
Yeah, these last 3 have been pretty hard.
I miss Star Trek in space. And all of them, no, Star Trek's not in space, and they were always on the planets, and they were always in the ship.
Yeah, they also had an A plot and a B plot. If there's one plot on the planet, the B plot would be them trying to get them off the planet in the middle of a disaster while fighting Klingon in space. That's what happened.
They took a bad A plot and split it into a subplot. It's so bad.
Would you rather watch any episode of Picard or the one where Crusher makes out with her grandfather ghost?
I'd rather watch the grandfather ghost.
Same lot.
I don't know. I mean, which would you rather watch? The other one has... Here's the thing, dude. Picard doesn't feel like Picard. Q doesn't feel like Q. Brent Spiner is playing not Data, but he's playing some weird version of a Soon we've never heard of before that's like an evil geneticist who has a sad, sappy daughter story. I don't care.
7 and 9 feels like...
what did you point out? Worf's adoptive grandparents were at the hearing or something?
When he was doing the that panel or whatever.
So dumb.
They're trying to get funding or something, and like, I'm pretty sure it was just another useless Star Trek name drop like they did.
Yeah.
They dropped a Gary 7 reference out of no reason.
And trying to say that Gary 7's the same as this Laris character who's like watching the like protecting Renee Picard, but Gary 7, when he got powerful, was like, I'm gonna destroy everything. They had to like kill him at the end.
That's one of the...
Or whatever. He died. I can't remember how he went out.
After we make this point, we should probably just end. But like, I think with this series, they just pull like your Star Trek reference of the day out and are like, oh, let's throw this one in. I'm like, make the old fans
Have you ever heard the phrase member berries?
No.
You remember when? You want those member berries? They're just using member berries. They're like, oh, you need some member berries. What was their name? The Rochinkos, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here's some member berries. The Rochinkos.
His name was like the panel. I'm like, is that supposed to be a reference to Worf's?
It's just now there's an Easter egg that people can watch this week while people break down the Easter eggs from the show with people who are taking it a little more serious and maybe like going back and forth. And we're just watching it as Trek fans that have been woefully disappointed Trek fans for a while. You were totally like trying to be positive and into it at the beginning of the season, 100%. And in fact, I think even for the first 3 episodes, you were pretty solid onto it. But like the last episode was bad. This one's pretty terrible. Did you see what the name of the episode was?
No.
I'm not even gonna look up. I'm just gonna call this episode Dumpster Fire. Fair enough.
Sure.
Good. End it.
Done.
We'll be back next week.
Sounds good.
I'm not even gonna plug the mugs because this episode sucked.